Kia ora team, my name's Ben and today we're going to go through a basic calf massage. So again, with the draping, we drape all areas of the body that aren't about to be massaged. Points to note, if someone has tightness behind their knee, you may have to put a towel underneath the heel just to take some pressure off the back of the knee. And if their legs aren't long enough to dangle off the back of the plinth, you may have to put a rolled up towel under there anyway. Alright, so as always, we introduce the cream to us first, and then we begin with effleurage. So my effleurage, just a nice gentle stroke to introduce touch and to make sure we get the lubricant all over the area about to be massaged. So one of the endangerment zones in massage is the popliteal fossa, which is just behind the knee. So we've got a lot of sensitive blood vessels that we don't want to be too aggressively massaging over. So always remember, as we come to the popliteal fossa, your pressure must decrease significantly. Okay, once we've done our effleurage, we can proceed to our petrissage. So again, pressure through the fingertips, overlapping with the other side, and just doing strokes up the calf. So calves are workhorses in the body, so often people carry a lot of tension through there. So always be in contact with your client about how much tension, how much pressure is good and how much is too much. Coming up in strips so we don't miss anything, and just being aware of tissue tension and tightness, any areas of heat, and noticing is one head of the gastroc tighter than the other and where you may go back and do some more work on. And then back to effleurage, giving the client a bit of a break. And then we can proceed to our deep thumb strokes. So we can piggyback over the top of the thumb, again just forming strips and being aware of the areas that your client may have pointed out to you that are tender. And as we come through the center, imagine slitting through the heads of the gastrocnemius. And then coming back up with our thumb circles, single circles and double circles, and spending extra time where you feel is appropriate. Breaking it up with effleurage. So remember, we've got two muscles that make up the calf, the gastroc, which is the big outer muscle, and then we've got soleus, which is the thinner one that sits underneath gastroc. So if we bend at the knee, that relaxes the gastrocnemius so that we can get underneath it to access soleus. So if you rest it, the heel on your shoulder, and then using the palms of your hand, we can slide down and do some deep stroking underneath the gastroc and get into the outside of soleus. turning the leg back down and back to our effleurage, alternating a deep technique with a light technique. Then we can knead. So remember with the kneading, we're using this grip and we're scooping up, squeezing the tissue and laying it back down. So kneading is deeper and firmer than effleurage. And the calf tends to be a nice chunk of muscle that's really good to knead. And then back to effleurage. So you'll notice my hands are much more relaxed with effleurage, and it doesn't have that same squeezing and lifting of the tissue that you do when you're kneading. Then we can drain, so forming a cuff. Coming up and draining the fluid up into the knee. And then some gentle effleurage. Before we re-drape our client, and then just gently jostle to get rid of any extra lotion that may be left. Okay, and we're good to go.